Hey guys, welcome to another episode of Let's Max Warframe. Today we're going to be taking a look at the final one of the Syndicate weapons, finishing up with the parent sequence's version of a corpus weapon, the Secura Dual Cestra. As I've already alluded to, the Secura Dual Cestra can be acquired from the parent sequence Syndicate store for the costly sum of 100,000 standing, and requires the rank of partner. However, what do you actually get for your money? And is it an actual upgrade from the standard Dual Cestra? Well, for that 100,000 standing, you get an additional 5 damage compared to the standard Dual Cestra, taking it from 25 to 30 damage, 24 of which comes in the form of puncture, and 6 as impact. It also comes with a pretty minimal 5% crit, although that's a boost from the 2.5% that the standard receives, although not that that can be realistically be called much of a boost. It also comes with a slightly higher status chance at 7.5% rather than the 5% of its standard counterpart. Now there are other things that it shares with the standard Dual Cestra that make this weapon so good, such as a fantastic magazine size of 100. It's pretty accurate even when fully spooled up, and comes with 2 polarities as standard. However, the thing that really sets the Secura apart from its standard counterpart is the innate sequence effect that is built into the weapon. Now before we take a look at the downsides of the Secura, let's take a quick look at the sequence effect. As with the other effects I've talked about recently, it requires 2000 affinity to charge a meter on the weapon, and when it's full it lets out a wave of 1000 radiation damage in a fairly wide area, with what seems like a 100% proc rate, causing confusion among the enemies and causing them to fight each other. Now in addition to the crowd control and damage from that wave of radiation, it would also restore 25% of the Warframe shields and temporarily buff the Warframe shields by 50% for 30 seconds. There are a couple of downsides to the Secura Dual Cestras however, primarily the recoil of the weapon. When it's fully spooled up, the recoil is rather huge, so much so that burst firing is the most effective way of using these sidearms. The problem with that is that due to the spool up of the weapon, it's actually reducing your overall damage output by quite a bit, although in my opinion not enough to really harm the weapon in any great way. It also has very poor ammo economy, and if you're not careful and if you're a bit heavy on the trigger, you can run out very easily. Further to that, with a 3.5 second reload, this can hurt quite badly, especially on wave-based game modes or extended firefights. But with burst firing and being economical with your ammo, this can be mitigated to some extent. Now in addition to all of that, it also has travel time on the weapon, similar to that of the Supra, which can make long range fire difficult. However, the thing I feel hurts this weapon the most is the lack of crit and lack of status. It really limits the weapon to just a straight up elemental build and doesn't really give any flexibility in terms of being able to adapt to different situations. The other downsides to the weapon can be mitigated to some extent. This however cannot be mitigated at all and is just something you have to deal with. Okay, so let's move on to starting to mod the Secura Dual Cestra. Now it comes with a V and a dash as standard, however we're going to add another 3 former to the weapon, so you're going to end up with a total of 3 Vs and 2 dashes. Now we've got 4 mods that are going to remain the same between all 3 of our builds. We've got Hornet Strike, Barrel Diffusion and Lethal Torrent, as well as the Bore mod. Now because of the accuracy loss of the Magnum Force mod, I'm not going to be putting it on this weapon, and since Magnum Force buffs both elemental and physical damage, since we're not using that, it's probably a good idea to still buff that, the non-elemental damage, the physical damage of the weapon, by using a mod such as Bore, which is the most recent event mod. And I will do a side-by-side of the accuracy loss at the end of the modding part of the video, just to put it so you can see it for yourself. Now for our Grenadier build, we're going to go with Convulsion and Heated Charge for radiation, and Frostbite and Pathogen rounds for viral damage against the cloned flesh of the Grenadier. Now our Corpus build, we're going to go with Convulsion and Frostbite for magnetic damage, and Pistol, Pestilence and Pathogen rounds for that toxin damage against the fleshier Corpus units. And for our Void build, we're going to go with Convulsion, Pistol, Pestilence and Pathogen rounds to bring up corrosive damage, and Frostbite, which is going to bring up cold damage, which is going to be good against the shielded units, since you get a much reduced, or you get a damage penalty from puncture on shields. So having that Frostbite is probably pretty useful to help with those shielded units in the void just a little bit more. And if you're going to use these against the infested, then just swap out the frostbite for the scorch and bring up that heat damage for the light infested.
Are inbound.
Okay, so on to my recommendation as to whether the Secura Dual Cestra are worth the effort, and the substantial investment of 100,000 standing, the former and the potato. And my answer is yes, they absolutely are. Now, while these might not have the raw killing power of some of the other Syndicate weapons, namely the Vacor Merlock and the Synoid Gamma Core, they have something more than the other two weapons that I've just mentioned. They have the fun factor. Now, I've always said that in comparison to the top secondary weapons, the Dual Cestras fall slightly short in terms of damage and efficiency. However, the one department that they never fail to impress in is the fun department. There's an element of theatre about every single shot and every single kill. The weapons look fantastic, sound fantastic, and are better yet pretty decent secondary weapons. That radiation proc is amazing for helping with crowd control. Quite frankly, it's like having a mini chaos every time it charges. Plus, the damage output of the weapons themselves, once you get used to not spraying them in effectively, is actually pretty impressive. Now, I've always liked the Dual Cestra, and once I heard that there was a Syndicate version of them, I was amazed, and was really looking forward to them, and frankly, they've not disappointed. Now, in terms of going forward with the weapon, I don't feel there's really a huge amount you can change with the build that will realistically affect the effectiveness of it. The lack of any real crit chance or status chance really puts a stop to that. However, the one change you could make would be the bore mod could be changed out for ammo mutation if you really don't want to use ammo restores during a mission. If you want to remain mobile all the time, this is completely personal preference, however, and not something that's mandatory in any way. Steady hands can also be an option depending on whether you feel like you can control the recoil or not. Although that said, this isn't an option that I would take, but I just thought that I would throw this out there as a potential option, just in case you feel that this actually might be worth using on this weapon. So in essence, decent damage, reasonable accuracy, but kicks like a mule when at full charge. The Secura Dual Cestras are a great alternative to the Vacor Merlock or the Synoid Gamma Core, however has one advantage over them, fun factor, and the never-ending theatre that comes when using them. As always guys, many thanks for watching, and so many thanks for the support. Just hit 300 subs whilst I was making this video, which is absolutely insane, and I thank you for all of the amazing support on my videos. New things will be coming soon, as well as a return to the occasional live stream, where the plan is to give away some of these Syndicate weapons that I've actually reviewed in the last couple of weeks or so. So stay tuned for the announcement on that. Please don't forget to leave a like and subscribe on this video, it helps me out a ton, and I shall see you in the next episode.